Hello everybody and welcome. We are going to take this sprite sheet and we are going to animate it today inside of Clickteam Fusion. We're going to animate it. Here's our active object. We have a new frame. So let's go ahead and let's get to it. So what's important here is that you get the size of an individual sprite here. You want its width and its height up here. And in order to do that, you have to take these numbers, the sprite sheet size, and you have to figure out, well, using division, what is the height and width of each of them. So if we look at this sprite sheet, it is obvious that this is I'm going to do this one in blue. This right here is longer than this one right here. So this one must be 256 and this one must be 288. So 288 goes with width, and the height goes with 256. Now 256 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4. 288 divided by 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Will give us our values. And if you have a calculator or if you're good at math, this will equal 32 and this one will equal 64. That means the height and width of these guys is 32 with 64 height. This is what we're looking for, 32 by 64. Now we have dimensions we can go to here and start using those dimensions to help us out. Let's open up that sprite sheet, my zombie sprite sheet. So look, it's already in there, 32 by 64, and as you can see, my sprites are already in there. Now let's just do an example of what if you did it backwards. 64, as you'll see, that looks like there's two of them, so that's not right. By 32, you'll get half of it. So you make sure that you're double checking the numbers and you're looking at your sprite sheets as you're doing them. And this is what I have right now just for my setup. And you can mess with hotspot and action point if you want, and that will change the hotspot and action point on your sprite, which you need to know the difference. And that's a completely different video on their uses. But for now, this is what I got, just center of mass setup. Okay, so you'll notice that we have a bunch of single frames here. So let's highlight them all. So left click the first one, hold down shift, left click the last one, right click, copy. Let's make a new animation called sprite sheet. And then let's right click, paste. Left click, delete. Boom. What we're doing is we're storing up all of our sprites for this in one single file, because our stopped motion should not have everything, because this is what it would look like. We don't want it. So let's get rid of it. Here, frame 1, 2, and 3 are our stopped animations. So I'll left click, hold down shift. You'll see that whatever you start with and whatever you end with is what will be selected. So we want to do frame 4 to frame 36. Press that good old delete button. And if we click play, looked good, but it stopped. So we have to go to options. We need to loop it. And I know 50 is too much. Let's go to 10. Looks okay. You know, maybe a little smaller. I'll take it. Perfect. Let's go ahead and let's do our walking. So walking right, walking left, walking up, and walking down. All right, so let's do walking right first. Let's go to our sprite sheet. Let's look for walking to the right, which looks like these three right here. Right click copy, go to walking, right click paste. Let's loop it up. Now we have different speeds for walking. We have higher and lower. If you change this one, the bottom one will automatically change. Why? Because the highest speed is the highest speed. And you cannot have a lower speed higher than your highest speed. Let's change that to like 15. We'll match these. Once again, we just want one walking speed. If you wanted to have variable walking speed depending upon various mechanics, buffs, power-ups, whatever, you could change this and program it. But we're not going to. Click play. That doesn't look bad. Cool. So let's go over to the left side now, and it's empty. Now, I could obviously go to my sprite sheet, find these guys, copy them, and paste them over here into this section right here. I'm going to do something a little different just in case you don't have a right versus left. Let's say you only have one direction. Well, let's go ahead and let's copy these guys. Paste these guys. Well, if you click on the frame, go up here, you can change and mirror each frame. So you don't have to actually do both of them when you are creating sprites. Now, if you want the left side to look different than the right side when walking, then of course I would use the different ones. But if they completely mirror each other, then no point in creating multiple sprites when you could just mirror them. It's okay. Just like before, loop it, 15, 15. Let's play it. Looks good. All right, next up, let's look up. Go to our sprite sheet. Which one of these is looking up? Looks like that one right there. Go to walking. Go to upwards. Paste it. Loop it. Speed it up. Speed it up. Same thing as before. And last thing we need is down. So here's the thing about down. Down looks identical to idle, in my opinion. And if we look at our sprite sheet, we don't have a downwards looking one for walking down. It's this one right here. So we do have to differentiate it just a little bit. Because this one is, I'm sorry, my stopped. I shouldn't have done that up there. Yep, stopped. Boom, boom. Yep, I did it on the wrong one. I need to delete those. Let's look at our stopped animation. It's running at a speed of 7. Let's go to walking. Let's put these down here. Let's loop it so we know the speed is 7. I want my walking speed to be obviously different than my idle speed. I mean, that's definitely faster. Let's double it again. Let's do 30. Oh, I should be doing the higher speed first. I might go faster than that. Either way, let's go ahead and let's click OK. Let's see what we got. Well, first, let's give our object the ability to move, and we're going to do something really simple. We're just going to do 8 directions. I'm not going to do platform physics movement or anything like that. We're just going to play it and see if it animates. Yep, look at that. It animates with our idle animation. Look left. We stop. It automatically goes back to idle. Look right. Idles, look up. Oh, that looks great. Now, the one issue that this program has right now that I've noticed, one of the limitations, is when you're walking at an angle. What do I mean by that? Walking at an angle. I want to walk like this. So if I press up and over at the same time, so first I'll press up, then I'll press over, like this, right? Up and over, it will keep that upwards animation for that whole thing, see? But if I press left first, or right first, it'll use the left and right animations. Interesting, right? So there are some limitations, and we could fix those with, various coding or changing the... It had to be coding, had to be in the event editor at this point. You get the idea, though. Like when these two combinations are pressed, when up and over are pressed together, use this specific animation. But you know what? We accomplished exactly what we wanted to accomplish today. We were able to give something an animation. We were able to import a sprite sheet. We were able to use which sprites we wanted, change it, loop it, so on and so forth. Let me give you a little tip, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have an animation, this is my last thing, my last little tip. If you have an animation, like this one right here, notice how this leg differs than this leg right here. Let's say that you have an animation where somebody is, for example, swinging a sword. And animation frame 1 is idle. And then ... We'll go last frame. Let's say the last frame has their sword like this, right? Their sword is right here. Right? And then Excalibur. All right, here's our sword. And whatever. And this is our path, right? Of the sword. if that's your last frame, it might be possible for this frame to get stuck at this spot. So let's say I programmed this little guy to have a sword, and the last frame looks something like this with his little sword. Then let's say that's frame 8 or something like that. A little trick that I've learned is to add an extra frame, frame 9, and whatever your first frame is, or whatever idle looks like, make that the exact same frame over here. And that will prevent it from sticking to this animation right here. By having the idle at the beginning and at the end, you kind of ensure that that loop that you're creating is a seamless looking loop. And I do this in Unity as well when I'm importing sprite sheets. It's nice to see that beginning idle animation, that beginning idle state, a little bit extra, because it will be easier on the eyes and it'll look better, a little bit more fluid. So, yep, hope this finds you well, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a great day. Take care.